Welcome back to the Working Faith podcast, where we take a spiritual approach to career success. I'm your host, Jalen Isley, and today we're talking about teamwork. I'm so excited to introduce Amina Manji. Amina is a real estate founder of the Axis Realty commercial brokerage with a foundational background in spirit care teachings that fuels her purpose and mission of serving humanity. Amina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jalen, for having me today on your show. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the show is all about leveraging the spiritual principles of our faith to positively impact the workplace and grow our careers. So let's start by talking about your faith journey. We know you identify as spiritual. What are some of the core principles of your faith that resonate most with you and how they shaped who you are today?
Well, I like to go back to the foundational principle of why a human being was created and what was the essence of that creation. And to know your soul is to know your creator. And it is when you understand that teaching, that guidance, and we see that religion is your identity, but the belief is always about spirituality. And it is in that pure space of spirituality where then you can truly come to the state of understanding that you're actually a spiritual being here having a human experience. And everything moves on sound, energy, frequency, and vibration. And then we take a step forward and from the divine teachings, and I can use the example of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him. And there's a verse from the book of Matthew, and it goes, it's basically about light versus darkness. If the eye is a lamp of the body, if your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? And then we take another teaching from the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He had a son-in-law, Imam Ali, who says, you think you are small, but inside of you lives the entire universe. So these spiritual prophets, saints, and guides have had a tremendous amount of impact in terms of spirituality. And they've always been the force of understanding that we are this ball of consciousness. And it is truly in that state of consciousness where if we know our soul, then we can work in cohesion, collaboration, and teamwork. And everything that we are doing on a daily basis, from the time we wake up to the time we put our head down to rest, we're into that conscious state of alignment with the light within. And that light within is so deep, but due to the effects of negative energy globally and over so many generations, it's become hard for people to see those effects of what it's doing to the body, the physical body, the vessel, because your vessel is light. And here we are in a time right now where humanity is rising, awakening, enlightening for a higher purpose, and a message is to come back to purity, pure consciousness. And teamwork building starts with that foundation principle of purity. And in that pure essence is where we can work together without spiritual contamination in the workspace. There isn't toxic meetings, which are based on ego, but it's actually solutions. And that's why the Axis Realty promotes itself as, solutions and connections. So when we are connected and doing things properly in alignment, we can do things on a larger scale, larger development projects, acquisitions, mergers, represent developers, and all these things that we want to do to make this world a better place in real estate as well. So it's actually a communal space and not just, looking at just strictly profitability. There's an immense amount of abundance in this world that everyone can benefit from. And it starts with ourselves. And if we're clean on the inside, then everything that we do on the outside for the future will grow and blossom into those seeds of consciousness.
I appreciate you explaining to our listeners, what it means to have purity in teamwork. I mean, it results in effective, tangible solutions where people are actually communicating instead of trying to protect their egos or protect their territory and things of that nature. And you actually get results for the clients that you're serving.
Yes, absolutely correct. It's when you have that purity, the integrity level is par excellence, exquisite. The honesty and the authenticity, the trust and that transparency, it makes it just joyous that you are having constructive discussions without criticism and finding solutions and coming together and not having to be like with brain fog and all these other terminologies that you find solutions are hard to find. It's just to a reflection of the consciousness of the being. So when you come in that state of pure oneness into a meeting that it's like, let's find a solution and we have a problem and let's get to the root of it and how we can get all the weeds pulled out and move forward, and
Yeah.
and as you know, with real estate, you're dealing with multiple people, you're dealing with lawyers, engineer, depending on the scope of project, investors, buyers, sellers. Emotions are so high on different levels. If it's a housing project, if it's an attachment to a house, you have these attachments that you have to get over, the buyer to get through or the seller to go through. But when you can come from a holistic, point of a solution and seeing it from their perspective, their lens, and give them the support to move forward in authenticity and to break those barriers of fear that they have in closing the transaction. Everything just goes very peace, very smooth, and you're just flowing through the whole process and not having to overthink.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. You and I were talking before the show started today, like there is an intentionality and a consciousness, deliberate effort that you put in to fortify your spirit so that you can show up as pure and genuine and loving as possible when you're working within your teams. So tell us, what are some practices that you use to maintain your own spiritual health and well-being?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we have all these meditation practices that focus on like I am, affirmations of I am and I am. And the point is being missed. And the missed point is that you are nothing. You are just, made out of clay and dust to dust. Everything is from the creator and everything is about the creator. And he says like, I was a hidden treasure waiting to be known. And that's why he had sent all these messengers and guides. So to bring back belief, faith, and love in the heart. So everything you do in consciousness is out of love for the creator. So when you are working from a God consciousness perspective and you're doing meditation principles and practices through the divine names of incantation of Almighty's divine attributes. So for example, what I practice, I would say, is spiritual prescriptions. When you have affirmations, but you have divine prescription of the divine creator's name. For example, mercy. And in Arabic is like Ya Rahim. And saying those incantations so that you can be the mirror reflection of the creator and that heart that he has created you to serve his creation. So these are daily affirmations to do and being conscious about it and making the way to purify your heart so it can be in an elevated state and make judgments and deliver results that are solution-based for the greater good.
Oh, that's beautiful. It is so important to remember that you are a reflection of God's love and grace. You are a reflection of the Creator's love and grace. You are a reflection of the wonder of this universe. And so when you practice those specific mantras and you internalize the fact that you are reflecting this greater consciousness, this greater source, this greater being, then you can't help but to approach your work differently. You can't help but to approach it from a place of love and flow. So that makes perfect sense. And something that I think all of us could benefit from engaging in that type of mantra practice on a regular basis. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And we've talked about quite a few things today, but I always like to give one tip, one key takeaway to our listeners as we gear up for the upcoming work week, because all of us in some capacity or another, we've got to exhibit strong teamwork behavior. So what's your tip for how we can take a spiritual approach to teamwork in the upcoming week?
I would say every day, spend at least 70 seconds in reflection. because that is so powerful when you reflect and to go inward. Do not be afraid to go inward, because that's when you start the journey to go inside of yourself. And to spend that 70 seconds will give you a great introspection of yourself, so that when you are looking in the mirror, that there is only light and light and light everywhere you go. And that is why we are here. We're just balls of light.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. You have such a calming and balanced approach to spirituality. I think some people overthink, overanalyze, overcomplicate their spiritual well-being. And I just appreciate the way you have simplified what it means to be spiritual and how we can practically translate that into results within our team. So thank you.
Thank you. And we truly are in an age where I can understand and empathize with the people that are wanting to move forward in spirituality, but there's a lot of distractions and there's a lot of levels of overcoming those distractions. There's a lot of fear factor. And if you're truly seeking, and if you make that intention with heart, where your tongue and heart are in alignment, you will be directed in that direction to find a teacher who can help you, because it's all about guidance. And we're always looking for the best guidance in what we are seeking to excel. And in a time right now, if those who are seeking for that pure spiritual guidance, there is help out there. And I'll be glad to share that with those who are looking to know more information about that. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with that in mind, let us know, like, how can the audience stay connected with you and stay up to date on what you're doing?
Well, thank you. One of the things I'm really passionate about is I run a spirit care foundation. We're a group of soul physicians who understand the spiritual sciences of the soul, and a metaphysical clinic that serves people that have actually been forgotten in terms of homeless patients that are suffering and don't have medical care, because spirit care is something that needs to be incorporated in wellness. And we talk about mind, body, soul, spirit, but spirit is the first part, which is the engine, the force of life. And we're a clinic that we are expanding our outreach globally, metaphysically, with services from a spiritual life cleanse that cleanses the body of all ancestral soul trauma, and then put them on a purification peace, a hydration program that purifies your DNA. So for 40 days, your body goes back into a balanced state. And then we give them some prescription, as in incantations to read, to start reflecting, so that the light within and goes in and breaks all that negative energy that has accumulated, that there can be release and the body is liberated. And your connection, we call it you have a Wi-Fi connection, but then your divine connection becomes so clean that, yes, there is a God and there is a creator who loves his creation.
Absolutely. Awesome. That's great. Well, you all heard it. Definitely check out her foundation if you're looking for additional support in terms of unlocking your spiritual well-being. All right. Well, thank you all for listening to Working Faith. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. All the show notes, information about our guest, Amina, and the link to submit your career questions can be found on the website, workingfaith.com. Remember to subscribe, rate, and share this show with others. I'd love to hear your comments. You can engage directly with me by joining the Working Faith group on LinkedIn. And thanks again for listening. We'll be back next week with more tips on how you can take a spiritual approach to career success and work your faith. Good day.